evening. This is the World News at 6 on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. My name is Chioma Innocent, and here are the top stories. U.S. to provide intelligence support and defense equipment to Nigeria. Terrorist commander threatens to kidnap President Tinubu and governors. Southwest governors hold security meeting in Ibadan, and Atiku Abubakar officially joins ADC in Adamawa State. Details now. Thank you for staying tuned. The World News at 6 begins outside the shores of Nigeria, where Israel's military has announced the dismissal of 3 generals and disciplinary actions against several other senior officers over their failure to prevent the October 2023 assault by Hamas, the deadliest attack in the country's history. The move comes 2 weeks after the military chief Eyal Zamir called for a systemic investigation into the failures that led to the onslaught, even as the government dragged its feet on establishing a state commission of inquiry despite public pressure. The list of generals fired includes 3 divisional commanders, one of whom was then serving as the military intelligence chief. A military statement released on Sunday said all 3 bear personal responsibility for the armed forces' failure to prevent the attack launched by Hamas from the Gaza Strip. The firing comes after all 3 had already resigned from their posts. Disciplinary actions were also announced against the head of the Navy and Air Force, along with moves against 4 other generals and several senior officers. Meanwhile, the presidency said the United States government has affirmed its readiness to deepen security cooperation with Nigeria, including the provision of enhanced intelligence support, defense equipment, and articles to reinforce ongoing operations against terrorists and violent extremist groups in the country. These follows discussions and engagement held last week between a high-level Nigerian delegation and U.S. officials aimed at strengthening security partnerships between the 2 countries and opening new avenues for cooperation. The delegation, led by the National Security Advisor NSA Nuhu Ribadu, had met with senior officials across the U.S. Congress, the White House Faith Office, the State Department, the National Security Council, and the Department of War. According to a statement issued today by the Special Advisor to President Bola Tinubu on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, during the engagement in Washington, D.C., the Nigerian delegation refuted allegations of genocide in Nigeria, emphasizing that violent attacks affect families and communities across religious and ethnic lines. The delegation also rejected the wrongful framing of the situation, saying such a portrayal would only divide Nigerians and distort the realities on ground. According to the president's media advisor, both countries agreed to implement immediately a non-binding cooperation framework and to establish a joint working group to ensure a unified and coordinated approach to the agreed areas of cooperation. He said the Nigerian delegation in return reaffirmed the government's commitment to strengthening civilian protection measures. Still on the world news at 6, an alleged terrorist commander has issued new threats against Nigeria, declaring that his group will soon begin targeting military officers, state governors, and even President Bola Tinubu for abduction. In a video on social media, the armed militant wearing what appeared to be a Nigerian military jacket boasted about recent kidnappings of school children in Kebbi and Niger State. The terrorists, whose identity was not immediately confirmed, said they are unfazed by recent arrests made by security forces. According to him, the Nigerian government had failed in its responsibility to protect citizens. The terrorists further claimed that Nigerians should place their hope in divine protection rather than the government insisting that the authorities could not guarantee safety. He ended the recording by greeting his followers on social media. Let's actually take a listen to these terrorist commander and hear what he has to say. Although he was not speaking in English, so quite a number of us may not be able to understand what he was saying.
Yes, an dauke makaranta a KBC test, an dauke makaranta a Niger test. An gaba sojoji zamani da dama muna daukowa muna kai su a daji muna daukowa. Ibala soja Nigeria an gaba za mu dauki gwamna, za mu dauki shugaban kasa, za mu dauki sauransu. Ruwanmu da an kama kowa gwamnati za ta yi maganin komi, kuma ma Allah ya muku maganin komi ya share muku kukan ƙato ba zai iya ba. An tashi na gaishe ku mutane social media, ina maku barka da warhaka.
The governors in attendance include Governor Seyi Makinde, Oyo State Governor Dapo Abiodun, the Ogun State Governor Ademola Adeleke of Osun State was represented by his deputy Kola Adeosi. VOP News gathered that the meeting was summoned to review the security situation in the southwest. The special advisor on media to Governor Seyi Makinde, Dr. Suleiman Olarewaju, confirmed the development today. Although details of the ongoing meeting were not released officially, a government source familiar with the agenda said the emergency meeting was convened to address rising security concerns, fast-track infrastructural development, and strengthen regional integration under the development agenda for Western Nigeria. The governors are also expected to review ongoing collaborative security initiatives, including the operations of the Amotekun Corps, with a view to enhancing its capacity amid emerging challenges. Meanwhile, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has officially joined the African Democratic Congress (ADC), marking a major twist in Nigeria's political landscape ahead of the 2027 general elections. The announcement was made earlier today via a post on X, where he shared photos of himself receiving his ADC membership card alongside a customized jersey reading Waziri 01. The registration took place in Yola and attracted a large gathering of supporters, party officials, and community leaders. In the images, Atiku Abubakar is seen raising his membership form as excited supporters captured the moment on their phones. The move comes shortly after political insiders hinted that the former vice president would formalize his ADC membership during his birthday visit to Adamawa, which also included community outreach activities. His defection follows his exit from the PDP earlier this year. He expects to build a formidable opposition force against the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC) in 2027. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu's government has announced the commencement of a nationwide rehabilitation of 417 grazing reserves, identifying open grazing as a major cause of Nigeria's recurring farmer-header clashes. The plan is a key component of a new livestock transformation agenda aimed at modernizing the sector and reducing insecurity. The Minister of Livestock Development, Idi Mukhtar Maiha, made this known at the maiden meeting of the National Council on Livestock Development held today at the Government House Banquet Hall in Yola. He described the gathering as a historic shift in Nigeria's livestock future and a turning point in efforts to build a peaceful, productive, and sustainable system. Mai has said the government's new approach is built around transitioning Nigeria away from open grazing, which he described as outdated and conflict-prone. According to him, the rehabilitation of grazing reserves into fully equipped, renewed hope livestock villages offers the only long-term solution to farmer-header crisis. He explained that each rehabilitated reserve would operate as an economic hub with improved pastures, veterinary services, water infrastructure, schools, clinics, dairy and beef processing facilities, as well as renewable energy generated from biogas systems. He added that state governors will be required to allocate land for pastoralists willing to embrace modern ranching, noting that ranching guarantees security, stability, and higher productivity. You're currently listening to the World News at 6 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I'm now being joined by Mr. Dele Fanimo. He's a veteran reporter as well as a political, social and national affairs analyst, and he'll be analyzing the World News at 6 this evening. How are you doing today, sir? Good evening to you, and thank you for joining me.
Chama. It's been a long day.
Yes, it has been a long day. It has not just been a long day for Nigerians, it's been a very long week for Nigerians because throughout last week, literally from Monday to Friday, it was bad news.
Yeah.
It was very bad news for Nigerians. And it's not that we like to come here and give Nigerians bad news, but of course we'll give them the correct information. And if what is obtainable is bad news, unfortunately, we have to let everyone around the country know so that we can know that things are not all right and we can sit up and hold our government accountable. One would really think about how brazen these terrorists are. They were able to conduct terrorist attacks across more than 4-5 states in 4-5 days, and they've become even more emboldened. Not only have they become more emboldened, there are other factions and different, there are different enclaves of terrorists now are now so bold to the extent that they are going live on social media. That is just like we are live on YouTube right now, and anyone from around the world, like 200 people are watching us from all around the world right now. That is the same way terrorists go live on TikTok and you can watch them. In fact, a young Nigerian girl joined the TikTok live of a terrorist and was begging them, please stop kidnapping us. It seems that is where Nigeria has generated, where they are brazen enough to threaten to kidnap Nigeria's president and even governors.
You see, the first thing you have to consider is the fact that I've said it repeatedly here that you don't negotiate with a blackmailer. The more you give in, the more he keeps asking for bigger ones from you. That it will get to a point that you will not be able to satisfy his want. There's a difference between need and want. It's want. Look at the allegation that a state governor offered 1 billion naira to terrorist group. Even if it's not true, but we also learned that earlier this year that the disposable money in the hands of terrorists, kidnappers, bandits and all was over 2 trillion naira. What can these terrorists not buy with over 2 trillion naira? What is the size of the budget of this country? So you now see that we are in for it, and they are not bothered. They are ready to do anything. They are so daring now that even if your environment has not been touched, something tells you that you need to kneel down and pray. I was watching Pastor Yedepo this morning, and he was in their service yesterday. He was laying curses on this criminal element. But I am not too faced with such approach. It's like you have surrendered your life to these people. Most times, those who threaten you may end up, if there's a reprisal, may end up fleeing, because they also don't want to lose their lives. So, for me, it's been a terrible situation, and perhaps with the signing of that, with the passage of that bill to strike targeted environment in Nigeria by the U.S. authority, waiting in the next 9 days, waiting for the president to assent to, maybe that will deter them, because either we like it or not, forget about this bravado, forget about this attitude of I don't care. If there is superior firepower, these people will flee, and that is the only recipe. Nigerian government has lost it as far as fighting insurgency is concerned in this country. So either we like it or not, we need external help. And I watched the video of how American government rescued one of its own in the soil of this country. They came with precision, rescued this man, took him back to the United States, and it was after then they said, we went to rescue our national, and we killed those people holding him captive like chickens. That was when Nigerian government got to know about their intervention. So we need that intervention. We are helpless. Government under Buhari insisted that all arms should be withdrawn from non-state actors, from people who are not military men. And since that time, that arms were mopped up in Kaduna, southern Kaduna, for instance, in Plateau, Benue. That was when these insurgents got the upper hand, because the people of Plateau and Benue and southern Kaduna, They are known warriors. And in fact, they formed the nucleus of rank and file in the military up until 1976 coup and the Oka coup that decimated some of them. But they still have a sizable number of retired military officers that even with, they can confront these marauders even with a double-barrel gun because they are brave. But now they are left with only cutlasses and I don't know any other weapon, no gun. Of course, they are like sitting duck to these people. Why did you mop up their arms when you knew that these people would be unrelenting to attack them? You made them so vulnerable that the only thing they can do is to cry. And who listens to the cry of somebody who is being assailed? That's why they can kill in those environments in hundreds at some point. And to add insult to injury, somebody said they were burying coffins, empty coffins. I mean, we just have to face the reality. Enough of bloodletting in this country.
While we're talking about this, some Nigerian officials, including the Attorney General of the Federation and the National Security Advisor, actually visited the White House. They went to the US and talked to quite a number of people. And with presidency telling us now that the US is ready to provide intelligence support and defense equipment to Nigeria. Also, Representative Riley Moore from the US Congress yesterday talked about how if Nigeria wants to have this security support, they should first of all repeal the death sentence that was handed down to Sunday Jackson, the farmer who reported
struggled
with a herder, and unfortunately now killed the other person who was trying to kill him, and also saying the Nigerian government should present a detailed plan on how they intend to solve the issue of insecurity. Still on insecurity, Southwest governors met today, all the governors of the Southwest, they met today to talk about how they can bolster Amotekun, revive security in the region to ensure that these terrorists do not make their inroads. Do all of this show you that the Nigerian government, both at the state and federal level, are gearing up and ready to fight insecurity? And if that is the case, why did they not nip this in the bud before it became so widespread now that so many Nigerians are dying? People are scared. We're hearing that they've entered Lagos. We're hearing that they've entered Ogun. We're hearing that they're in the forest in Ondo. In fact, the other day, security agents were sent to somewhere, I think it's called Ajebo in Ogun State, where they heard that they were Fulani herders, and then they wanted to chase them away, but they did not find anybody there. But people are scared. Now people can't even throw fireworks. Personally, if I see any kid holding fire, I said, I don't want to see you throwing fireworks near me. It's true, Mr. Fanimo, because you want to be sure of what you are hearing so that you can know when to start running. And where are you running to? Are you running towards safety or towards danger?
Yeah. You see, government has failed in terms of providing security, which is one of the two main reasons of being in government. You provide security and you also provide welfare. But unfortunately, we have failed in the area of security. Let me tell you, it is not for nothing that people are apprehensive. A sacred place like a church has been desecrated over time, many times. Where do you want to run to? The lay ambush for soldiers who are trying to rescue kidnapped students, kill them. The height of it is you killed, you ambushed, captured, and tortured a brigadier general and finally killed him. That is the height of it. Because nobody kills even a major. That's the slogan. You kill a major, you have declared war. Not to talk of a brigadier general, one-star general. Left vulnerable. Who would have imagined that he was not really in a fierce battle? It was hit, but they laid ambush, which means there was no cover for your one-star general going to a war zone. No area cover, no land cover, and it was captured. We have seen examples of all of these. Look at Roti Labor, or what did they call that lady's name? That helicopter fighter officer.
The young lady that unfortunately killed around
the barracks. You know,
they said she was hit by someone who was reversing, trying to greet her.
Look. The information we got was that lady was really a pain in the neck, because she was reputed to be very good at striking at targets with precision, and we wasted that young lady that ordinarily, with his blossoming career, we should be expecting that maybe she will be the first chief of army air staff in future, and she was cut short.
That was Tolulokwe Arotile.
You know, look at that. So what we are saying is, either we like it or not, something has to happen. Yes, I commend the Southwest governors for being proactive, not waiting for these people to infiltrate and wrought maximum damage. And they should sustain it and provide enough support to Amotekun so that they can be alive to their responsibilities. Amotekun was created as a response to this spate of insecurity. And if you see 10 Amotekun on the street, be sure that you have about 1,000 of them in the forest. Their job is not to come and do police job in the cities, but they are supposed to provide security and beat the criminals to their game in the forest, deep into the forest. That's the way they are trained to handle such situations. But unfortunately, in the north, you have civilian joint task force provided with AK-47, but here they won't allow us to use even pump action rifle.
Do you think it is possible actually for these terrorists to target and be able to kidnap Nigeria's president? I mean, if they've gotten more brazen, they've seen that around the country schools are being closed down. Instead of increasing security measures, schools are being closed down, so insecurity is leading to an attack on education. And we do know that the fact that students are not in school does not actually stop this insecurity, because even in the homes where these people are going to, how safe are they? Right? Do you think the security around the president will be tightened, or they'll just laugh it off and say it's not possible to kidnap the president of Nigeria?
If there's any attempt to kidnap the president, then it is not the kidnappers anymore. It is an insider job. The security moving around the president is awesome. That for any terrorist group, where is that terrorist group coming from, and where would they see the president to kidnap? I don't think it is possible. So that one is he just woke up from the wrong side of his bed and he wants to show bravado. That's why. And because people like that, they have community members shielding them and providing information for them. All those so-called repentant Boko Haram members that have been enlisted into the military, they are the ones providing information to their members that are still out there in the forest. Look at the way they captured that general. They were intercepting. How can a general use mobile phone to call for reinforcement? Where is the walkie-talkie? Where is the base station?
You know, they had been ambushed and he was able to escape that ambush, and so there was no way he could have had his belongings while inside the bush. Maybe even having his mobile phone at that moment was just by a stroke of luck.
My dear sister, I know a little bit about the military. You don't go to a place that you know that your operation commander is likely to be endangered, and you go for a general, a one-star general, the least you can have is 2 platoons around him in that kind of environment. If you had told me that they killed about 120 soldiers before they were able to ambush him and arrest him, capture him, that would have been a different matter. And for them to go to that kind of a place with a one-star general without area cover, it's unthinkable. So for me, there is no way you want to place it that I will agree with you. It's just plain sabotage.
Now that the presidency is telling us that they're talking with the United States to provide intelligence support and defense equipment in Nigeria, will terrorism finally be nipped in the bud? Also, what would the U.S. expect to gain from this partnership with Nigeria? Because we are the ones, if this works out, who stand to gain the fact that these terrorists will now be pushed back? We've seen talks that, they're not exactly Nigerians, but because our borders are porous. It was last 2 weeks that the House of Reps talked about the fact that over 70% of Nigeria's borders are unmanned. That is, there is nobody at the borders. Anyone can stroll in and stroll out. I remember going to the immigration office in Lagos to do my international passport, and the kind of questions they were asking, they wanted to know if I was a Nigerian. They kept asking, some kind of intimate questions. Where's the father from? Where's the mother from? What's the name of this place? How do you get here? How do you get there? And when they ask questions, they say it's because some foreigners come there, they will cram these answers and then give the answers to the immigration officer so that they can get a Nigerian passport. How should we not even start from ensuring that our borders are manned? Earlier today, President Tinubu ordered that 100,000 policemen that are attached to VIPs should be withdrawn. This is not the first time this kind of order has been given. We've seen the IGP also say, withdraw policemen from VIPs. But even if you're not a VIP, but you have the money to pay to some mobile policemen to follow you to one place or the other, they will follow you. It seems that our security architecture needs a complete overhaul.
So let me start by from the U.S. intervention. You see, is this the first time America is giving us support in the areas of weapon, surveillance, intel? No. You recall that there was a time that Tucano jets were given to us. And what did you do with it? Nothing. And so I think America has risen beyond supporting government that was not willing. When I mean willing, and I mean willing, to push back these terrorists. It's been politicized that the only thing American government can do is to come and do targeted strikes. Even if we don't know, even if we pretend not to know, America has enough intel, because who owns all the social media handles we use? If you even make calls on an encrypted WhatsApp, you are not immune to being detected by the American government, because they own all these things. They are the ones that save in the cloud. So for me, if Nigerian government says they don't know where these terrorists are camped or bandits, but Gumi, a non-state actor, goes in there, hold meetings with them, post on social media, and even our own security apparatus and their own members, they mingle, and we see the videos, we see the pictures. So what are they going to do that is different from what they have been doing? They were just treating them like gods. The terrorists, Nigerian government had been treating them like gods. Look at, when you see their videos, you know that these are not properly trained ragtag army.
They are not being properly trained. Then where did they get the guns? These are not the people who are training them that are...
No, what I'm saying is another thing. It's another thing to have tactical training, and it's another thing to have arms in your possession. For instance, if I'm coming to your house to attack you, once I know that you don't have arms, Of course, how long does it take to know how to cock and fire? It doesn't take much time. It doesn't take much time. And that's where we are. If armed robbers that are largely illiterate can be trained on how to assemble AK-47, load the chamber, load your magazine, put it there, cock, either you put on rapid or you or otherwise, and you begin to fire. Then an insurgent that has been in the forest, who has all the time in the world, who has all the amenities, food, shelter, and women that were forcefully kidnapped and made to be to do sex slave around them, then it doesn't take anybody's intelligence to know that, look, these people, they are over pampered, and whatever American government gives to Nigeria in terms of support may even end up in the hands of these bandits and terrorists.
All right. Let's quickly talk about Atiku Abubakar officially joining the ADC in Adamawa State. He has finally gotten his membership card, Waziri01, and he posted on Twitter just saying it's official. Now, he's not the only person who has been expected recently to officially declare for the ADC. So like this now, Atiku Abubakar has, you cannot say there's nothing tying him to the PDP anymore. He's now an official member of the ADC. He says it's time for the real opposition. So two questions. I mean, it's time for the real opposition. Does it mean because he's not part of a party, that's why, or he's not fully part of the party, that's why it seems he's been taking it easy on this government as an opposition? Secondly, I mean, Peter Obi is also expected to declare for the ADC soon. Do you think this will prompt him to be faster with his declaration? Well,
I've always known from the day of proclamation that ADC has been resurrected, that I know that even when Atiku was still in PDP, I knew that his advanced party were the ones that went into ADC, that the big masquerade would join. And I was not disappointed when he joined. Today, he's now a full member of ADC, having cleared ground, having substituted some of those state party officials, having induced some of them allegedly. And so, the coast is seemingly clear for him to hold the ticket of ADC. If anybody is in ADC and he sees, he feels he wants to wrestle with Atiku, that person would have to have a rethink. Because up until this moment, I have not seen anybody that has the kind of war chest Atiku has to struggle with him for the ticket of ADC. Now, it is not over. Atiku would have to do a lot of jobs in ADC for him to be comfortable. There are litigations here and there that need either to be withdrawn by solving their crisis, internal crisis, with political solution, or hasten or fast track the process, the judicial process, so that they can have enough confidence that if they contest under that party, I mean on the platform of that party, that there won't be backlash. That is one other thing that ADC as well as Atiku should also consider. Then on the issue of P2B joining ADC, well, it is his right. He has not committed any offense to bar him from joining that party. But the ideal thing would have been for him to resign from Labour Party first before joining ADC, so that there won't be any booby trap in future if he decides to carry the flag of that party, ADC. And for now, except if he has dropped his ambition of being the president of this country,
so would you
that is the only reason why he will join ADC. So if Peter Obi proclaims membership of ADC today, then be sure that he's going there as vice president. And it's another matter if that is what he wants or not.
All right, then. Thank you so much, Mr. Dele Fanimo, for joining me on the World News at 6 this evening. I do appreciate your presence.
It's always my pleasure.
Thank you very much. You have been listening to the World News at 6 right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. Just before we wrap up, let's take a look again at the top stories. We heard that the U.S. will provide Nigeria intelligence support and defense equipment. Terrorist commander threatens to kidnap President Tinubu and governors. Southwest governors hold security meeting in Ibadan. And Atiku Abubakar officially joins ADC in Adamawa State. That is a wrap on the World News at 6 on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. My name is Chioma Innocent. Good evening and thank you for listening. Do stay tuned. The Evening Rush will come up at 7 p.m.